I hope you guys can give me some insight and help with this situation. Me, female 24, and my STBH, male 24, have been together since we were both 17. He was my first everything, first boyfriend, first kiss. He took my virginity, literally my first for everything. He proposed after I graduated nursing school, and I've never been happier. I know everyone says this, but there's literally been zero problems and zero red flags. I wanted to play this game he has on his iPad because I've become borderline addicted to it. As I was playing it, I saw a text from his group chat pop up. I ignored it. Then another came up with one of his friends saying I'd marry a BJQ. I got confused, so I decided to open it. This group chat is only men. Some are my childhood friends too, and we hang out with these people multiple times a week. My husband sent a pros and cons list about me. I copied it, sent it to me, deleted the evidence. Here's the list. Pros: sexually eager and BJ whenever I want. Big breasts, big butt, big thighs, and a flat stomach. Doesn't let herself become frumpy and ugly. Funny and smart. Good cook and baker. Cons: has a lot of animals. Doesn't always keep our place clean. Laughs too loud, vulgar and crude. Has bad breath in the mornings. Spends too much time at the gym. Is the list that bad? It made my stomach drop, and I've just felt this impending dread ever since discovering it. The cons aren't that bad, but it feels so objectifying with the pros list. And as I scrolled up and read more, the worse it got. He talked to them about how he thinks I lied about being a virgin when we met, because I'm too eager in wanting to try too many things, and even bragged about how he has a folder on his phone of videos and photos of me and us. Everybody dared him to send it, but he said no. But how can I be sure he didn't send it anyways and deleted the evidence? He even talked about how there was a week he tested to see how many BJ he could get out of me by simply asking for them and decided to stop because he started to feel bad. There was more, but I can't write it out. I feel so gross and sad. I talk about him in a such different way. It feels like he only sees me as an intimacy object, and I see him as my other half. I've opted out of friend hangouts and have distanced myself from him. He's noticed and has been trying to find out what's wrong, but I'm not even ready to tell him. I want to postpone our wedding until we can figure this out or if it's even salvageable. Am I overreacting? Please, any and all advice is welcomed. Now for a few comments. One commenter said, I don't think you should ever marry anyone so willing to humiliate you. He doesn't sound like he has much love or respect for you. Not a good way to start a lifelong partnership. Another added, this is her fiance, soon-to-be husband, and he's discussing you this way with his friends. Your fiancé husband should be your best friend, your confidant, your soft place to fall, not someone who discusses how many BJs he can get out of you. Cancel the wedding, move out if you're living together, and start your life new. You deserve someone who treats you with respect. Someone else advised, delete his entire folder of photos and videos, clear the deleted items folder, and anywhere it might be backed up. He might decide to share them after all. Another commenter said, this man has no respect for you. It's not okay for someone who is supposed to love you to talk about you in a degrading and objectifying way. And the others in the GC are not your friends. If anything, you are now underreacting. Postponing the wedding is the minimum you should do. Don't be fooled into staying with him because he was your first and you've put so much time and energy into the relationship. You deserve better. Finally, a commenter mentioned, bad breath in the morning, like a normal person? I bet if she stopped spending too much time at the gym, he'd complain she's letting herself go. Doesn't keep the place clean? He could do that too. Eager to try new things means she wasn't a virgin? Or maybe she wants to have new experiences to figure out what she likes since she doesn't know if she's inexperienced. Like, literally none of what he listed was cons, and now he might lose what sounds like an awesome woman. Now for the 2-day update. I wanted to say thank you to everyone that gave me their advice and input, and also a thank you to my friend for letting me post on her Reddit account. I've never even used Reddit, so this whole experience has been wild. She suggested I use it due to her using it and told me she got a lot of great legal advice as well as emotional support. So again, thank you all. Anyways, my STBX left for a work-related trip and won't be returning till the 7th. I decided to go through his iPad even more, and the things I found were absolutely appalling. I can't even believe I considered staying. You all opened my eyes, and what I found really solidified it. I searched the group chat more. They didn't talk about me a whole lot, but every time they did, it was so degrading and wildly inappropriate. I found out it was my ex that coined me as BJQ. And I was right, he has sent videos of me. It was just videos of me performing oral, but still, I wanted those to stay between us. I also found his ex and Reddit account. It's nothing but gangbang corn and cuck fetish corn. All the corn is one girl and multiple men. I don't want to read too much into that, but with how everything is falling, I'm scared he was going to try to share me with the men in this group chat. Which, yes, I am open-minded, but I am firm on no threesomes and no sharing of any sort. He knows this. I also found out he calls me Butterface. He constantly complains that I don't lean into my femininity and dress more girly. He said he hates my tattoos and piercings and said they're excessive. There's so much more, and I'm just devastated. I don't even know where to begin. I don't want to tell my family because I'm so humiliated and sad. Do I collect evidence from his iPad and take it to a lawyer? Do I start moving out while he's away? I'm just so lost right now. Thank you to everybody that helped open my eyes. Now for a few more comments. One commenter suggested, depending on where you are, sharing those images, videos could be a crime. Go to the police, don't delete anything yet. Wait until you've spoken to the police, and then factory reset that witch. Another advised, if it's an iPad, the files also need to be removed from the cloud. Otherwise, he could still potentially access them. Someone else pointed out, his friends probably saved them on their devices as well and can distribute them if they wanted. What a nightmare. OP needs a lawyer now. Finally, a commenter said, Butterface equals everything but her. Face, immediately break up. Hi everyone, I just wanted to give an update and also clear up a few things. A few people asked why I had to use my friend's account. I didn't want to make a Reddit account in case he had access to my email account. I wanted to remain completely anonymous making that post. My friend posted on Reddit previously and said she got a ton of emotional support and legal advice, which is what she said I needed. I'm very thankful. She helped me make a post. Some messaged and said that this was clearly fetish content. I don't know how it would be, but I promise it's not. If I wanted to post fetish content, I just go to the side groups designated for that. I'm sorry if I came off as too vulgar in the previous posts, but I was just trying to detail everything as best as possible. Anyways, on to the update. I was able to get moved out before he came home, but I barely made it. I finished moving everything out late at night on the 6th. I'm staying with Leslie until I'm able to find a new place. My family, as well as his, are aware of what's going on. I decided to text his mom everything. She never responded. My parents are floored. My dad helped me move the majority of my things out and accidentally broke his PC tower. I don't want to get too much into the legal stuff because I don't know what I can and can't discuss. What I will share is that my lawyer is wanting to pursue charges, and the police believe I have enough evidence. The officers and detective I'm working with have been extremely helpful and are going above and beyond for me. Before he came home on the 7th, I texted one of the guy's girlfriends and let her know what I found, because even though I didn't find images or videos of the other guy's girlfriends, it's still better to be safe than sorry. She was amazing, and we are still in touch. When he came home, everything went as expected. He was blowing up my phone, texting, calling, emailing, everything. He showed up at the hospital. Thankfully, I wasn't working that day, but I heard it from one of the CNAs I work with. He's been demanding to know what's going on, that he's scared, etc. Then he started texting, asking where his iPad was. An hour later, he started cursing me out, asking if I've lost my mind and telling me I need to grow up and come talk to him. I'm assuming he's figured out I know. If I can figure out uploading images, I'll post the texts. Cops advise me not to block him because he'll likely say something that can further my case. I'm safe. My family is aware, and so are all my friends. I have a great support system. I'm just so scared and exhausted. I'm sorry if this is jumbled and doesn't make sense. I'm still trying to piece together everything. If there's more, I will update. I appreciate the concern, but regarding the PC comment, I paid for it, and it was originally mine. He just took over it without asking, so he can't do anything about it. And he already knows I'm with Leslie. I can't disclose much, but once everything is settled and finalized, I can give a more in-depth update and provide more info. Probably won't be able to for a year or two, depending. Thank you all. Now for a few comments. One commenter said, I'm so glad you're safe. You might want to talk to your boss/supervisor at the hospital and let them know that he's a dangerous person and shouldn't be allowed on the property. If he knows where you work, he could continue to harass you there. Then the original poster replied, my boss is now aware of the situation, and he said he's going to take the appropriate measures to handle this. Thank you. Another commenter added, good to hear this. It sounds like you have a solid support system, and that is great. Your ex is toilet scum, but it is much better you found out before getting married and wasting more time on him. I hope he gets hit with the full force of the law for sharing your intimate images without your consent. His friends should also be on the hook for that, as none of them warned you about that, even though some of them were your mates. Hope they also get their comeuppance. Wishing you peace and healing. Then another commenter said, I would love to see the texts, but please don't post them. Let your attorney rake him over the coals. To which the original poster responded, I should have clarified that I'll only post them when all is said and done, because my lawyer said after that he can't do anything to me. Thank you for the concern. Am I the idiot for hiring my daughter's ex as an intern and ignoring her feelings about it? When my, male 57, daughter, female 21, was in high school, she started dating a guy, male 22, who at first glance made me a little nervous. He had that stereotypical popular jock look, the type you might expect to be a player or not take relationships seriously. As a dad, I naturally wanted to protect my daughter, but I was completely wrong about him. Despite his outward appearance, he turned out to be a genuinely kind and respectful young man. He was polite, always using yes sir and no ma'am, and he had this boyish, goofy charm that everyone found endearing. He treated my daughter well, was always respectful of our family, and had a sweet personality. While he wasn't the strongest academically, he worked hard and always gave his best. I even helped him out with his homework a few times because I could see how much effort he was putting into it. I'll admit, I really liked the kid, and so did the rest of the family. My wife, my son, and even my daughter's mother, my ex-wife, really liked him too. He was a good boyfriend to my daughter, and I felt comfortable knowing she was with someone who cared about her. Eventually, they broke up when they were about 16 or 15. It wasn't a messy breakup. From what I understood, it was mutual. My daughter was understandably sad, and we did everything we could to support her through it. But she actually moved on pretty quickly, and we all kind of left it in the past. Fast forward a few months ago, I got a LinkedIn request from him, and it brought a smile to my face. It was nice to see what he was up to, especially since he struggled a lot in school. It turns out he's now studying marketing at a really good university in our country. I was genuinely happy for him because it seemed like he found his niche, and I could see he was doing well. Then I saw that he was looking for an internship. He needed to complete 500 hours of professional experience to graduate, and I didn't hesitate to reach out. I told him that if he needed a company, mine would always have a spot for him. We ended up catching up, and he told me about his new girlfriend, so he's moved on. Long story short, he ended up sending me some excellent recommendations from his professors, so I offered him a position in our PR and communications department as a social media intern. He's been an amazing addition to the team. He's come up with great ideas, worked hard, and you can tell he genuinely loves what he's doing. Seeing him all grown up after knowing how much he struggled back in the day has been really heartwarming. But here's the problem. My daughter recently found out about it through TikTok. Of all places, he appears in some of the company's videos, and she was mad. She called me a terrible father and said it was inappropriate for me to hire him. Now, it's not like she ever has to see him. She's studying abroad in Belgium, and we live in a Latin American country, so they won't even cross paths. My wife, my son, and my ex-wife have reassured me that I didn't do anything wrong. From my perspective, I hired him purely based on his qualifications and work ethic. He's a temporary intern who plans to continue his studies abroad once he graduates, so this isn't a long-term situation. But my daughter's reaction has made me second-guess myself. I've always prioritized her well-being and want to make sure I'm not overlooking something. Maybe I'm too detached because, when I was younger, I stayed on good terms with some of my ex's families, and I didn't see it as a big deal. I really care about my daughter, and I don't want her to feel like I'm prioritizing someone else over her. But at the same time, I want to be fair and give credit where it's due, especially when someone is working hard and making something of themselves. I would really like to hear any outside perspectives. Now for the update. I just want to say thank you to everyone who commented on my original post. I really appreciated the advice and different perspectives that helped me think through the situation. A lot of you suggested that I have an honest conversation with my daughter to see if there was something deeper going on, and I took that advice. I ended up calling her to talk things through. I asked her if there was something about the breakup that I didn't know about, or if something happened that would make her uncomfortable with him working for me. I told her that she can be completely honest with me because I wanted to give her the benefit of the doubt, and if there was a valid reason, I was open to addressing it. Turns out, the situation was a lot less complicated than I thought. My daughter admitted that there wasn't any lingering issue between her and her ex. In fact, she reiterated what I already knew, that the breakup was mutual and drama-free. What came out during the conversation was something completely different. Apparently, she's been dating a new guy from the United States for about 2 weeks. She said that when she saw her ex in the company's TikTok videos, it made her nervous because she didn't want things to get weird with the new guy if he found out that her dad was still in contact with her ex-boyfriend. She said that Americans are different in that sense. Those were her words. You guys tell me if it's true. Ha ha ha. Basically, she was worried that her new relationship could be affected if the guy she is seeing thought there was still some kind of connection between her and her ex through me. But when I pressed her about whether her ex had done anything wrong, or if there was any actual issue that would justify me not hiring him, she admitted there wasn't. Her main concern was her new relationship and how it might look. I get that she's navigating a new relationship, but to expect me to turn down a great intern who's been nothing but hardworking because she's worried about optics with a guy she's been seeing for 2 weeks seems pretty unreasonable. I don't think it's fair to penalize him or limit his opportunities just because of that. I explained all of this to her as gently as I could, and she admitted that she might have overreacted. I reassured her that this internship was a temporary situation and that she would likely never even have to interact with him, especially with her living abroad. I also apologized for not asking her first about her thoughts on me hiring him. I thought it really didn't matter since, from my point of view, I was just hiring a great professional based on qualifications and work ethics. But comments made me see how I could have been the jerk for not telling her. And she told me that it's okay, that am I the idiot for inviting my brother's reminder of betrayal to my wedding despite his protests. I am marrying my fiance this winter. We're putting together the guest list to send the invitations out and have run into an issue over my nephew and my brother. My brother was 18 when his girlfriend told him she was pregnant. They ended up moving in together, and my brother decided to find work as a mechanic rather than go to college as he'd planned. My nephew was born a little while later. They got married when she told him she was pregnant with their second kid and then had 2 more. Ever since my nephew was born, he's been literally one of my favorite people. I babysat him plenty of times, same with my other nibblings, and have spent my 20s as their gunkle. My brother and I were close as kids, and I've been close with his kids as well. 5 years ago, my brother found out my nephew wasn't his, and his now ex-wife had been sleeping with someone else at the time, and had suspected my oldest nephew wasn't my brother's since he was a little kid. They ended up getting a divorce, and my brother didn't seek custody of my oldest nephew and said he didn't want to see him. He told me that he needed time to process and would try to patch things up later. That idea was kind of ruined when my nephew turned up at my brother's apartment begging to talk. It turned into an argument between them. For context, our father had just passed a couple of months earlier. During the argument, my nephew said something along the lines of, "No wonder mom fricked somebody else. I bet grandpa hated you." My brother cut things off then and there and has refused to see my nephew since. I stepped in as the main male figure in my nephew's life. Much as I dislike my exile, I even took him out for his 18th birthday and took him looking at universities, and he now goes to my alma mater. I asked my brother how he wants to handle the seating situation if they don't want to be close together. My brother was angry. I'd even invite my nephew after everything that happened. He said it'd be like inviting my ex-CL. He's not family, he's just the prick who disrespected our dad. I said he's being petty and childish, taking the words of a scared and angry 14-year-old so personally. He was a kid who said something shitty because his entire world was falling apart, and the person he'd relied on for his whole life was suddenly pulling away. And instead of being understanding and doing family therapy or something like a grown-up, my brother decided to give adult weight to a teenager's words and cut him off completely. My nephew has said he's okay with not going if it's causing an issue, but I told him not to be ridiculous. He's important to me, and I want him there for when I marry my person. I told him he shouldn't let my brother's inability to let go be his problem. My fiance agrees with me. My mom and sister both say I need to see it from my brother's perspective. I think he's just being petty. Am I the jerk? Now for a few important comments. One commenter asked if it was actually established that the nephew is not the brother's child, and if the brother abandoned him based only on suspicion. They also expressed curiosity about why the mom and sister would side with the brother if no DNA test was done. The original poster replied that yes, it was established. The whole thing started over a blood typing assignment for biology class. The top comment stated, "You're absolutely right to stand by your nephew and include him in your wedding. Your nephew is clearly an important part of your life, and you've stepped up to be there for him when his world fell apart. He needs that stability and love now more than ever, especially after being rejected by the person he thought was his father for most of his life. Your support likely means the world to him, and excluding him from your wedding to placate your brother's grudge would only add to the pain and rejection he's already experienced." Now for the 1-week update. I decided to follow some of your advice and talk to him about what happened and set some boundaries with my brother. So I saw him in person to talk things over. I told him that my nephew has been in my life for more than half my life. I was 14 when he was born. I've been his uncle for 19 years, and fundamentally he's not the one that betrayed my brother. And while I can't imagine what must have been going through my brother's head at the time, it's not my battle to fight. And even if it were, I'm not obligated to take it out on a kid who had nothing to do with it. What he said was extremely shitty. Yeah, but we're talking about someone who was 14 at the time and absolutely did not have the emotional maturity to handle the situation. I told him my nephew was open to a mutual apology. So bottom line, my nephew is invited and he's getting a +1. And I will seat him away from my brother if he wishes, but that's the most I will do. They can talk or not talk, kiss and make up, or ignore each other all night. But I'm not making it my fight. My brother said he understood and would think about it. Then a couple days later, he drunk texted me a complete 180 and asked if I could invite XL too, which I think is probably because his RSVP included his new girlfriend as his plus one, and she's 26. I just know my niece complained it was gross that her dad's new girlfriend was a year closer to her age than his. My brother at his best is charming, confident, looks-wise, kind of like a chunkier version of me, so not bad looking, and he had no trouble pulling women post-divorce once he got his confidence back and lost weight. I declined his drunk request, but his girlfriend is nice, and I told my niece that GF is inside the half plus 7, so she can't be completely grossed out. Since some have asked about my nephew and ex-Sil, I'll explain. She didn't know for sure that my nephew wasn't my brother's, but she strongly suspected, and she was sleeping with both her AP and my brother at the time. For about a year after the divorce, my nephew would throw the deception back in her face every time she reprimanded him, until I sat him down and pointed out that the more people he pushes away, the fewer people he has in his corner when things go south. Bottom line, she is his mother. After the debacle with my nephew, my brother and ex-Sil were more careful with my niece and the twins about not making adult problems their problems as well. Sorry, there was no Scarlet A, like many of you would have liked. She's not my favorite person, but I can sort of tolerate her. To answer the question about his bio dad, my nephew has expressed zero desire to meet him. He says he doesn't get why people think a perfect stranger could replace my brother, like being abandoned out of the blue never happened. My nephew RSVP'd yes and is taking his they friend. His SO is non-binary, and that's what they're calling themselves. So, fingers crossed for a happy ending.